The glare of a smartphone screen cutting through the pitch black of a Boston hotel room. No massive lighting crew, no teleprompters, just a global superstar, a rapidly dying battery, and a single unscripted live notification that sent millions of fans worldwide into a synchronized panic.
Yeah, in an industry built on, absolute perfection, this raw, unfiltered moment just completely bypassed a multi-million-dollar PR machine. And honestly, it kind of changed the rules of fan engagement forever.
Welcome to Starscope K Report. Join us as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates.
Right, from internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Today's deep dive focuses on a headline-making event that the fandom is still, honestly, actively trying to process. The headline reads, "V just went live, and armies are not prepared for what he said."
Oh, they were definitely not prepared for this one.
No, not at all. We are unpacking his surprising midnight confessions in Boston, his completely unprecedented approach to setting boundaries with fans, and how this quiet, intimate hotel room moment contrasts with the absolute global domination of BTS's historic 2026 ARIRANG comeback.
It really comes down to this fascinating mechanic of duality. Because on one hand, you have the scale of a stadium-filling titan, right? Like a pop culture phenomenon that is literally rewritten global music economics.
Right, absolutely.
But then on the other hand, you have a very human, unpolished 32-year-old guy who's really just trying to eat his post-concert dinner.
So let's ground ourselves in the exact moment this happened. It is August 8, 2026. The monumental ARIRANG World Tour has just taken over Gillette Stadium in Boston.
Massive show, by the way.
Oh, incredible show. It is around 1 a.m. on the East Coast. And instead of going to sleep after a grueling 3-hour performance, Kim Tae-hyung decides to open up Weverse.
Which, just for anyone listening who might be newer to the K-pop ecosystem, Weverse is this direct-to-fan community app. It's essentially a digital living room where artists can completely bypass traditional media and speak straight to their fandom.
Exactly. And if you logged on that night expecting to see a highly styled pop idol, you were in for a massive shock. Picture this. V is sitting there with completely disheveled, fluffy hair, which the fans immediately dubbed his kitty hair, looking like he literally just stepped out of a bath.
I mean, he was pointing out a bright red mosquito bite right in the middle of his forehead.
Yes. Loudly complaining about the Boston mosquito.
Which is such a brilliantly humanizing detail, you know? The idol industry spends millions of dollars on styling, makeup, skin retouching to present these artists as these ethereal, untouchable beings.
Right.
And here he is, broadcasting to millions of people, literally zooming in on a bug bite. He was also casually eating steak, mentioning that the group had shared Korean food together after the show, and washing it down with a zero-sugar, dairy-free plant protein shake.
Don't forget he even fought off his new ear piercings, too.
Oh yeah, casually mentioning he had to get the holes reopened. All of this while the American Netflix thriller series I Will Find You is playing in the background, complete with Korean subtitles.
That cross-cultural detail is just so funny to me. A Korean superstar sitting in an American hotel room watching an American thriller, but needing the Korean subtitles to keep up.
I love that.
But the real thriller of the night was the state of his phone. The man is broadcasting to an audience the size of a small country, and he is fighting an absolute losing battle against a dying battery.
It was a logistical nightmare, but so compelling to watch. I mean, he started the broadcast already on low battery.
Yeah.
And instead of just plugging it in or logging off, he decided to fight the clock doing these rapid-fire, completely chaotic mini broadcasts. He was using the term votes instead of percent, frantically telling the camera, I have 4 votes left, meaning 4%. Right. Then it dropped to 3. Then to 1%, before abruptly cutting off, only for him to desperately reboot and come back for 3 more minutes.
The reaction from domestic Korean netizens and international fans was instantaneous. The forums on Reddit and Weverse were flooded with people experiencing acute cuteness aggression.
Oh, for sure.
It's that psychological phenomenon where something is so overwhelmingly endearing that your brain just short circuits. Fans were melting over the sheer dedication it took to keep fighting a dead phone just to check in with them for a few more minutes.
But as chaotic and endearing as that battery battle was, it actually served as the perfect Trojan horse for a much deeper, more serious conversation. Amidst all the protein shakes and the frantic reboots, He dropped a massive philosophical shift on the fandom regarding boundaries.
This is exactly what we need to analyze. Because standard protocol in the K-pop industry regarding fan boundaries is usually a very polite, PR-approved plea like, please respect our privacy, please do not wait outside the hotel.
Right.
And he did reiterate that. But then he completely flipped the script on how fans should behave if they encounter him out in the wild. He told Armoys that if they happen to see the members out walking on the street in whatever country they are touring, he wants them to pretend they do not know them.
He essentially drafted a totally new social contract. He explained that if fans respect their physical space, if they just walk by naturally and act completely oblivious to who is standing next to them, the members themselves might actually initiate contact.
Wait, really?
Yeah. He said that when fans respect their anonymity, it makes their hearts feel so warm that they might just walk right up to you, offer a handshake or a hug, and personally say thank you.
Now, wait, let's really examine this. From a marketing and career perspective, isn't that incredibly risky?
How do you mean?
Well, the entire K-pop industry is fundamentally built on parasocial relationships, right? This carefully cultivated psychological illusion that the idol is your best friend, your confidant. It relies on constant perceived access. Telling millions of deeply devoted fans to actively ignore you on the street feels like it could be career suicide. It's literal reverse psychology.
It would be risky for a rookie group, absolutely. But at this stage in their careers, it is a psychological masterstroke. What V is doing is dismantling the toxic side of parasocial attachment and replacing it with genuine mutual respect.
I see.
Yeah, by asking for the gift of anonymity, he isn't pushing the fans away. He is rewarding them. He is saying, if you treat me like a normal human being, I will give you a normal, authentic human interaction in return. It requires a staggering amount of trust in the fandom's maturity.
It's a remarkable evolution in how idols communicate. And that maturity was woven throughout the rest of the live stream, especially when he started discussing the physical realities of the tour. We got a very candid, factual breakdown of the group's gym habits. V, who is 32 now, openly admitted that his stamina is simply not what it used to be before his military discharge.
Which is a remarkably vulnerable thing for a performer known for high-octane choreography to admit. He gave listeners this cozy, behind-the-scenes breakdown of the members' fitness routines.
Oh yeah, Jimin's workouts.
Right, he explained how Jimin's workouts are intensely focused on flexibility and dance movements, which V admitted he completely struggles to keep up with. Then there's Jin, who treats the gym like a race, just rushing through his routine to be done in 30 minutes flat.
That is so on brand for Jin.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, RM and Suga are the lone wolves of the group, strictly preferring to lift alone. V pointed out that nobody's doing group weight training sessions with 5 or 6 guys anymore.
But setting boundaries on the street wasn't the only rule V decided to break that night. Wait till you hear the hilarious rebellion he sparked against his own agency's photo shoots.
The boardroom mutiny. This was perhaps the most revealing part of his entire monologue regarding how they view their current artistic freedom.
Exactly. This rejection of the traditional idol script on the street directly translated to a rejection of the corporate script backstage. Let's look at today's BTS rebellion.
Okay, lay it out.
For context, today's BTS refers to those classic, highly refined post-concert lineup photos that the company's social media team posts after every single show. They are an absolute staple of the K-pop machine, meant to perfectly document the outfits and thank the audience.
They're completely standardized. You stand in a straight line, smile, hold a slogan banner.
Right. But V flat out confessed to the millions watching that standing in those rigid lines for corporate photos is, in his exact words, just too boring.
I love that he said that out loud.
So he completely hijacked the protocol. He explained how he pulled the younger staff members at Big Hit, along with his fellow bandmates, into a brainstorming session to come up with ridiculous fun concepts instead.
Like what?
They started recreating classic comic book covers. They started physically acting out viral internet memes backstage. He took a rigid corporate requirement and turned it into an outlet for pure, chaotic fun.
If you analyze why this matters, it perfectly illustrates a massive shift in agency. When a group is younger, they follow the strict directions of the creative directors. By actively deciding that the company's polished image is boring and replacing it with mean recreations, they are asserting total creative control over their day-to-day narrative.
Wow, that's such a good point.
Yeah, it's a craving for creative freedom that perfectly mirrors the colossal scale of their 26 comeback.
And that brings us to the absolute juggernaut that is the ARIRANG era. If changing a backstage photo is a micro-rebellion, this album is the macro manifestation of their post-military artistic liberation. Let's break down the sheer magnitude of this project because the numbers and the artistry are staggering.
They really are.
Released on March 20th, 2026, ARIRANG serves as their first official studio album in nearly 6 years, following their mandatory military hiatus. And remember, V didn't just serve. He was part of the elite special task force of the Military Police Corps.
Which is intense.
Super intense. Coming back from that environment, the music they created is an expansive, fearless mix of hip-hop, pop, alt R&B, and traditional Korean instrumentation.
The sonic landscape of ARIRANG is literally breathtaking. They brought in their foundational, longtime producer P-Dog, but then paired him with global heavy hitters like Diplo and Kevin Park.
Kevin Parker, really?
Yeah. Merging Kevin Parker's psychedelic synth-heavy production with traditional Korean sounds and P-Dog's heavy hip-hop beats created something entirely unprecedented. We got massive stadium-shaking singles out of this, like Swim, Hooligan, and Normal.
Incredible track list.
And for the hardcore audiophiles, they even pressed a vinyl edition featuring a hidden, exclusive track produced entirely by SUGA.
The commercial performance was just as historic as the production. ARIRANG achieved a perfect all-kill on the domestic charts. For anyone unfamiliar with the term, an all-kill is the holy grail of South Korean music charting. It means the song simultaneously hit #1 on every single major domestic streaming platform, real-time and daily.
It's nearly impossible to do.
And it didn't stop in Korea. It debuted at #1 in over 25 countries. It sold a record-shattering 4.17 million copies in its debut week alone. And if you looked at Spotify Global on release day, the album occupied the top 14 spots.
They didn't just break existing records. They created entirely new metrics for success. And we have to talk about the marketing campaign that drove those numbers, because the psychology behind it was brilliant. Do you remember the Valentine's Day rollout?
Oh, the rose drops. That was marketing perfection.
Exactly. Big Hit orchestrated this massive interactive campaign right on Valentine's Day. They dropped thousands of physical roses in major cultural hubs around the world, places like Seoul, London, Los Angeles.
I remember seeing pictures of those everywhere.
Yeah, and each floral installation featured a QR code that simply asked passersby, "What is your love song?" It basically gamified the comeback. Then, they partnered directly with Google Search. If you search BTS, a beautifully rendered blue ship-in-a-bottle graphic appeared on your screen.
The symbolism of the ship in the bottle is so poignant, too. It's this imagery of a message crossing a vast ocean, surviving the passage of time, which is just a perfect metaphor for returning to their fans after a 6-year military hiatus.
It really is.
And clicking that ship launched a digital scavenger hunt with trivia questions. If you got the answers right, it unlocked digital parchment cards revealing handwritten song titles by the members themselves.
It was an interactive masterpiece. It mobilized the fandom by giving them a puzzle to solve together, which is incredibly effective for community building. It proves that even after a 6-year break, they know exactly how to engage their audience on a deeply emotional level.
But looking at all of this, the global scavenger hunts, the genre-bending production, the 4 million physical copies, I have to ask how this connects back to V calling their old photo shoots boring. Is this playful, rebellious energy a direct result of surviving the military system?
I think so, yeah.
It almost feels like they spent years wearing literal and figurative, rigid uniforms, adhering to strict rules, and now they are aggressively shedding that. They have outgrown the carefully curated, perfectly lined up idol rulebook and are stepping into an era where they refuse to compromise.
That is exactly the psychological mechanism at play here. When you have achieved the peak of global music, and then you step away to fulfill a rigorous, highly disciplined mandatory service, you return with a drastically altered perspective on what actually matters.
Right, the priorities shift.
Completely. They no longer feel the need to play by the traditional K-pop rules to maintain their success. They are dictating the terms of their artistry now. Whether that manifests as an intricately produced alt R&B stadium anthem or just deciding they would rather act out an internet meme for their official company update.
If you love unpacking these massive cultural shifts, staying updated on your biases, and analyzing the biggest milestones in the industry, make sure you are subscribed to Starscope K Report. We are always diving into the mechanics behind the music, and we have some massive scoops lined up for future deep dives.
Absolutely. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update on the ARIRANG Tour and beyond.
Because later in this deep dive, well, actually right now, we'll talk about how this massive global stadium tour is contrasting with the raw vulnerability of their individual growth and what it means for the future of the Hallyu Wave.
The contrast is dizzying. If we zoom out and look at the macro perspective, you have The unbelievable, almost unfathomable scale of the airing promotions happening simultaneously with the highly grounded, isolated reality of V's 1 a.m. Boston live stream.
Let's quantify that scale for a second. The ARIRANG World Tour is a logistical behemoth. We are talking about 85 dates stretching across 34 cities worldwide. It kicked off in Goyang and is scheduled to run continuously all the way until March 2027, concluding in Manila.
Which is a marathon.
It is. Moving a production of that size is like relocating a small city every few days. And their promotional run for the album was just as cinematic. They completely took over the Guggenheim Museum in New York for an exclusive, highly choreographed performance of Swim and 2.0 on Jimmy Fallon.
That performance was stunning.
They performed Hooligan for the American Music Awards, pre-recording a massive set right out of Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. And for their official comeback concert, they secured Gwanghwamun Square in the heart of Seoul, streamed it exclusively on Netflix, and pulled in an astonishing 18.4 million viewers globally.
They are literally stopping traffic in major world capitals. They are headlining the largest venues built by human hands. And yet, during that exact same week, you have V sitting completely alone in a quiet hotel room.
Yeah.
He is talking to a mirror mode camera on a dying phone, openly admitting to millions of people that doing a solo live stream is actually incredibly difficult for him. He confessed that talking to an empty room makes him feel awkward.
Wow.
Here's a man who commands stadiums of 70,000 screaming people without breaking a sweat. But he gets self-conscious talking to his phone. He's worrying about his battery life and just wants to chat with the fans about how frustrating it is that his hair is too damaged to get a perm right now.
The whiplash between the untouchable global superstar and the guy complaining about his hair in our hotel room is simply stunning.
It is.
To truly understand how V arrived at this profound level of groundedness, we have to look at the solo artistic evolution he underwent prior to this comeback. Leading up to his enlistment, he was steadily building a very unique, soulful, and heavily jazz-influenced identity that separated him from the group's massive pop EDM sound.
Oh, definitely.
It started with independent self-released SoundCloud tracks like Scenery and Winter Bear. Then came his solo debut EP Layover, which fully embraced his love for vintage R&B, followed by the slick 2024 single FR, NDS.
Such a good track.
And beyond the music, he has consistently cultivated a philanthropic persona, like making a quiet 200 million won donation to the Korean Red Cross for wildfire relief. He has spent years laying the foundation for this mature, deeply human artist.
What is truly revolutionary here is how perfectly they have weaponized this duality to ensure their longevity. From a purely economic and industry standpoint, this group is too big to fail. They hold streaming and sales records that mathematically may never be broken. But the danger of becoming too big to fail is that you become too big to relate to. If you present yourselves as untouchable gods, the audience eventually disconnects. They maintain their relevance and their fiercely loyal bond with the fandom by intentionally shattering that polished idol veneer.
That makes so much sense.
They don't try to be perfect. They show you the red mosquito bites. They show you the panic of a 1% battery. They openly admit that their joints hurt and their stamina is fading.
And when you are watching that, you can't help but feel a deeper level of respect. Despite breaking Spotify algorithms and commanding Allegiant Stadium, V is still the kind of person who just wants to check in. Even if he only has 4% battery left, he pushes through the technical difficulties because he genuinely values the connection with the audience.
It is that exact unpolished vulnerability that makes the massive, highly produced stadium moments feel emotionally earned. When they are on stage surrounded by pyrotechnics, the fans aren't just cheering for a flawless pop machine. They're cheering for the very real guy who just playfully roasted Jimin's intense workout routine a few nights ago.
This brings us to a massive overarching question, something for you to mull over as we wrap up today's deep dive. V casually mentioned that his stamina at 32 isn't the same as it was in his 20s. Yet, this group is currently executing a punishing 85-date world tour, all while actively rewriting the unwritten rules of fan engagement on the street and openly mocking the rigid company photo protocols backstage.
It's a lot to balance.
It is. As these legendary idols age, as they return from military service with a hardened sense of self, and as they naturally evolve far beyond the confines of the traditional K-pop machine, are we witnessing the birth of a new, highly sustainable Phase 3 of the Hallyu Wave?
It certainly points in that direction. We may be entering a phase where the artists finally hold enough leverage to completely dictate the terms of their own fame. a phase where the exhausting manufactured idol image is entirely replaced by sustainable authenticity, and where the artists set the boundaries of their parasocial relationships.
The phase where the battery might be dying, but the connection with the fans has somehow never been stronger. You've been listening to Starscope K Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.